You worked harder than everyone, yet they still said no. You optimized the funnel, you refined the pitch, and you stayed up until 3 a.m. perfecting a slide deck that looks like it belongs in the Smithsonian. And still, they looked at you with that polite, dead-eyed stare that screams, "Please stop talking so I can check my email." I once watched a consultant walk into a room with a client who was notorious for being a cold-blooded negotiator. Before he even opened his laptop, he handed the guy a $4 cup of artisan coffee, just set it down, smiled, and said, "Thought you might need this." 10 minutes later, he walked out with a $50,000 signature. Most people watching thought he was just nice or charismatic. They didn't see the invisible wire he just tripped. He wasn't being friendly. He was activating a prehistoric biological debt that the human brain is physically incapable of ignoring. In the high-stakes environment of 2026, the room doesn't care about your features or your benefits. You're sitting there, heart hammering against your ribs, trying to remember the 3 key value propositions your mentor told you would close the deal. You're practically begging for their approval, like a dog waiting for a scrap of steak, hoping that if you just show enough expertise, they'll finally treat you like a peer. But while you're reciting your case studies, the client's brain has already shifted into defense mode. To them, your logic feels like an attack. Your value feels like a sales tactic. Let's test your survival instincts. You're starting a high-stakes negotiation. How do you open the room? Option 1. Lead with your most impressive case study to build immediate authority. Option 2. Ask them what their biggest pain point is to show you're a good listener. Or, Option 3. Compliment their office and wait for them to start the conversation. 3, 2, 1. If you chose any of those, you've already lost the game. The 1% move? Option 4. Hand them a warm beverage or a small, personalized gift before the meeting even begins. No strings attached, or so it seems. Back in 1971, a researcher named Dennis Regan ran a study that should have been the only thing they taught you in business school. He had a guy named Joe give subjects a 10-cent Coke during an art gallery viewing. Later, Joe asked them to buy raffle tickets. The people who got the Coke bought twice as many tickets as the ones who didn't. Here's the chilling part. It didn't matter if they liked Joe or not. They could think he was a total jerk, but they still paid up. The reciprocity reflex is so primal, it bypasses your personality entirely. It is a biological must-repay circuit. Your crime was trying to earn the sale through logical persuasion. Logic is for the 99% who want to feel right. The 1% know that being honest about your value is a psychological suicide mission if you haven't first installed the debt. Your alibi? The human brain literally labels you a debtor if you don't give first. You aren't selling a product, you're collecting on a biological loan. Logic is a blunt instrument, but the reciprocity reflex is a sniper rifle. Go to the comments right now and share the last time you gave away a freebie, a lead magnet, a consultation, a sample, that resulted in absolutely zero sales. Tell us exactly what it was. We're going to analyze why it failed to trip the trigger. But let's look at the second way you're bleeding revenue, the final offer standoff. You're sitting there. The air is thick with the smell of expensive leather and your own cold sweat. You've presented the quote, and then it happens. The silence. That agonizing pause where the client looks at the number and says those 4 words that make your stomach drop. It's a bit expensive. And let's be real. You were ready to slash the price the moment you saw them frown, weren't you? You were practically begging them to take the discount just so you could sleep that night, even if it meant your profit margin became a rounding error. Here's a test for the room. The client says your $10,000 package is too expensive. What's your next move? Option 1. You immediately offer a 20% discount to keep them interested. Option 2. You launch into a 30-minute lecture on ROI until they finally understand the value. The classic logic trap. Option 3. You play it cool. Say, "I understand," and ask what their specific budget is. Think about it. 3, 2, 1. The 1% answer? None of the above. The real move is option 4. You should have started with a $30,000 premium offer that you knew they'd reject, only to retreat to the $10,000 package as a personal, painful concession just for them. In 1975, Robert Cialdini documented this as the door-in-the-face technique. When you ask for something big and get shot down, your subsequent, smaller request isn't seen as a price. It's seen as a favor. You gave up $20,000 of potential profit for them. The brain doesn't see a $10,000 bill anymore. It sees a $20,000 gift they are biologically obligated to return by saying yes. A concession is a gift. If you don't start high, you have absolutely nothing to give away. The crime here isn't the price. It's presenting your fair price first. Your alibi was honesty, but the brain needs to see you lose something to feel like it won. Being honest about your price from the jump is a psychological suicide mission. You're not being fair. You're being invisible. Type anchor in the comments if you've been undercutting your own value because you were afraid of hearing the word no. We've all been there, trying to be the reasonable choice, while the heavy hitters are busy losing fake money to win real contracts. But the game doesn't end when the contract is signed. Most people think the hard part is over once the check clears. They do exactly what they were paid for and wonder why their loyalty numbers look like a flat line. They don't realize that the biggest surge in revenue comes after the deal is done. In the 2026 market, good enough is a death sentence. You finish the job, you collect the fee, and you think you've built a bridge. But in reality, you've just cleared a hurdle, and the client has already forgotten your name because you didn't leave a psychological mark. You're sitting there, checking your phone, wondering why your loyalty numbers look like a flat line. You think the contract is the end of the game. It's actually just the opening move for the real money. You want to turn a one-time buyer into a lifetime evangelist who leaves a 5-star review and hands you referrals on a silver platter without you even asking. How do you trigger that impulse? Option 1. Send an automated thank you email 24 hours later with a convenient, clickable review link. Option 2. Offer a 10% discount on their next purchase if they refer a friend or leave a testimonial. Option 3. Provide absolutely flawless service and hope your hard work and integrity speak for themselves. 3, 2, 1. The 1% move? Option 4. Provide an unexpected, highly personalized bonus after the transaction is officially closed. The second mint strategy. In 2002, researcher David Strometz looked at how people tip in high-end restaurants. If a server brings the check with 1 mint, tips go up 3%. 2 mints? 14%. But here's the 1% blueprint that breaks the brain. The server gives 1 mint, starts to walk away, then stops, turns back, and says, "You know what? You guys were great. Have another mint." Tips skyrocketed by 23%. It wasn't about the sugar. It was about the perceived specialness of an unsolicited, personalized gesture that happened after the customer thought the interaction was over. The crime most owners commit is rewarding behavior. We call it a loyalty program, which is really just a transparent bribe the customer's brain sees right through. The brain is evolutionarily programmed to ignore expected rewards. If I know I get a points multiplier for spending $100, that's a transaction, not a favor. There is no debt created. To trigger the reciprocity reflex, the gift must be a surprise. It must feel like you're losing so they can win. What is the mint in your business? That one gesture that costs you $1 but makes the customer feel like they owe you their entire network? Share that one trigger in the comments. Let's see who's actually building biological debt and who's just providing a service. You see the strings now, don't you? This isn't about being nice or generous. It's about understanding that the human brain is a prehistoric debt repayment machine. When you give an unsolicited favor, the coffee, the strategic concession, the second mint, you aren't just being a good guy. You are installing a psychological boomerang that must return to you. Every no you've ever received wasn't a rejection of your product or your price. It was a rejection of your failure to trigger their biological obligation. You were trying to win through logic while they were waiting for a reason to feel indebted. Stop selling. Start gifting. Use the invisible leash of commerce to lead the market exactly where you want it to go. Are you going to sell, or will you trigger them?